now and to teach you guys about is a little bit more on the LED and the fairy light and stuff. So I have my box here. So this is 120 soft white lights, and it does have the electrical plug-in. And I figured the plug-in is better because the lights and the quantity of lights with a battery operated function, it goes through them very quickly. And if you are going to use the batteries, I highly suggest doing the rechargeable ones, because you really don't want to go through batteries and spend a ton more money just to enjoy your piece of artwork lit up. Okay, so anyways, here's my unit. This is what I hook up to every single piece that I have. I do always test it and make sure that I plug it in and have everything operational before I go through and take the time to glue it together. So let's do that. So, sorry if you hear a little bit of loud noise out in, I've got a neighbor who's doing some remodeling and they're using honestly don't know what he's using. I assume he's using he might be drilling something. So anyways, my apologies if you can hear that. It's always when you want to start sharing something that there's extra noise. Okay, here we go. So here it is. It's all functional. I don't have any sections of it that's out. Looks like it's a good safe connection there. Make sure the flashing works and the dimming. Okay, perfect. So now what I want to do is share with you guys a safe way of undoing this, because if you kink this too much and fold them, they'll break and they're basically worthless after that. So a lot of times what I'll find is that this is tied in and kind of stuck there. So you do want to start from the back end. So this is the end of it. And what I'll do is I'll slowly take that wire and literally straighten it out on every fold. And I just let it unfold that way, because it's exactly just reversing the way that they put it on. And I don't want to twist this too much, because then I'm going to have the same problem down here. If you twist the wire, it will snap and it can break. It is repairable, but in my opinion, I want it to work the way it was intended. And if I go and have to repair something, it's going to be more of an issue in the long run if that faults and doesn't work. Okay, I am at the end now. So I just want to watch that one. This is usually your very tightest fold. So just take your time, straighten it out. Use your fingers, don't pull it, just flatten it. That's it. All right. Now I have to go through, and I'm just, because it's all twisted when you undo this no matter what. So I'm going to just kind of straighten this out real quick. Get rid of all of this, because that can cause another fold. There we go. Just shake it. Okay. Step over my cord here. Just shake it off of the edge. Come on. There we go. Okay. It's a bit of a headache to work with, and it's definitely time consuming, but once you get through this part, it's when you get to enjoy the fun part. Okay. Now, so no matter what, my biggest thing is when you're using the hot glue and that metal tip is what connects the glue tip, do not touch that wire. If you can at all avoid it, do not touch that wire. If you have this on, and which I like to do, I do like to work with the power on. That way I know that through the whole process it's working. There isn't at any point in time that I lose power. And I have had where I'll accidentally touch the metal to it and it kind of flashes. So, and at all point you don't want to fry out that, that wire system inside of the controller, because then you just basically done all that work for nothing. So, all right, let me do a couple of quick connections here. This is the coated part. I do make sure and get the coated part into and around the corner. I think that's very important, because when I'm doing the art, the resin will come all the way to the edge, and I don't want this metal to be what folds over the edge of that, because then that metal is exposed and I'm just risking a little bit more damage. So in order to control some of that, I decided that it's best for me to go ahead and do where I fold that wire, this type of wire end over the artwork piece. Almost forgot my little, so I'll take a plastic tool. This was something from the Dollar Tree. It's just basically a like a paint tool, paint mixer tool. The tip broke off of it, so I used the back end of a handle. And if I just kind of smush this, right, it's gonna flatten out that glue so that's not so bubbly. And that's gonna make that harder connection and a little bit more flat. So when I'm doing my artwork, obviously I've full aware of where my corners are, which end I'm gonna do all my artwork and my spin off of for my design. And then I just go through and start gluing and dab gluing this in. It's a long piece, so I make sure and kind of crunch these up and do a little spin here and there and work that curvature in and set the design in place. So I'm gonna actually reposition the camera so that you have a little bit more of an above area view, so that you can see the whole process of how I lay the design on this piece. I'll remove the crystals at some point too, and then keep testing my light through it and see how many nodes of LED lights I put underneath there to really get that good glow. So that'll use a good handful of this wire, so that I make sure and get the most lighting and the most details right here in this middle center piece. But I do like to accent some areas on the outside as well. Okay, camera is repositioned. Here's the top of the artwork piece. Here's the crystals for the center, and I'm gonna now work on the LED pieces. There we go. Okay. So what I do is just make a couple of curves and start working into my design. I'll dab in between my fingers right here next to the line, just to get it kind of a little bit more into place. Let's see if I can get my fingers a little more. So I just drip a drop right over it. And then I take the back end of my tool here, and then I just kind of swipe along the LED wire. And what this does is just gives me a little bit more of an area. And I'll go next to the node. I don't do glue over the node because that will change the color of it. Ah, my finger let go. And you just hold it there for a second and it'll be dry. And then you can go through and dab up any of those other points. This is a pretty time-consuming process, so I will do a few more dabs here, but then of glue, and then I'll move along the video and kind of just speed up the process, maybe until I get a little more into the center. Again, a small dab of glue. You just want the wire to stay down onto the board as best as possible because it's easier to cover up with all of your other details. And once this gets too much of the glue on it, you can just pop it right off of there. It's super easy to keep clean. I do go through and clean up all of my little webbing and stuff that the glue stick and gluing leaves. But other than that, everything else, you just won't see any of this mess when I'm done with the artwork. In place. I think it's lit up pretty well. Some of it's pretty thick, so you're only going to get so much light through it. Let's see. Let's finish up the rest of the details. I'll probably do some more obviously down in this area. I have this much of my wire left, so that'll be perfect. I'll probably do just a bit more around here because I will encase this with quite a bit detail with my mirrored elements and glitter. So I will put a little bit more, probably more on this side, and then this might end up kind of just right as far as its coverage. I like what's going on here. I think I need just a little bit more down here, and then I'll start heading off into this end to end it. That way I've got my 3 different sections of where I actually am going to put my details. So in like this area, I'll find a bunch of my other bigger crystals and then find spots to put them right on the nodes there for the corners. And they will kind of be somewhat facing each other like the center of the geode. Okay, so I'll just bust through and finish the rest.